Hello and welcome back. I am still alive and I'm back with another video, finally. I will share a little bit about what's been happening for me personally at the end of the video, but we all know that YouTube, you have to get the first 30 seconds right so that people stay hooked. So let me tell you what this video is about. I've been doing a little bit of consulting recently with some new clients who are looking to build systems or review their systems for knowledge management and task management and in a company context and in a personal context. And it's become really apparent that although we all want to have one app, there is no single app that can do it all. Oftentimes, trying to do everything in one app is only going to make your life more complicated. There are custom-built applications that are much better suited to your purposes, and it's worthwhile exploring those applications in different contexts and not just trying to do everything in one. So in this video, I'm going to go through my thinking on some different applications. I basically have just been doing some brain dumps and then aggregating the sticky notes in different buckets, and I'm going to share that with you now. And from the get-go, you'll see that I'm not using Logseek. I'm using a program called Mural, which is really good for just whiteboarding and sticky notes. And I'm going to start here on the left-hand side by just zooming into this outline, which is like, we all want to manage information. And you can get this mural in the link below. Just drop your email address and you'll get the mural. And basically, I'm trying to have a quick profile of who these people are and why they need to manage information. So we've got professionals, tech workers, professional services, corporate jobs, whatever, and what they need to do, what they need to, or how they need to manage the information. And then hobbyists. Here I've got some people interested in personal development or awareness, a lifelong learner, a productivity enthusiast, and again, what they might want to do. So I go into all these different things over here. And then creatives, writers, content creators, entrepreneurs, and then what they might use Logseek for, or, well, might need an application for, defaulting to Logseek here. And then finally, academics. So researchers, scientists, graduates, whatever you might need to manage in a different program. And then the final bucket there is academics, so researchers, scientists, students, whatever. So this is definitely not a final systematic review of all the different people that might need to use software, but it's just a bucket that I've broadly thought about. So something I'm going to experiment with, and I would love to get your feedback, is when I'm in a presentation, I don't like it when everyone goes and or when someone is doing the presentation and reads all the little bullet points. I don't know about you, but I'm going to test that over here and try and get your feedback. So in a professional context, you need a bunch of different things: project planning, managing knowledge objects, PDFs, pictures, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, whatever, to clarify thinking or work in progress. An engineering wiki for your project. Okay, that's a very specific thing. Storing valuable code snippets, meeting notes, and a place for random notes about everything. Now, I've got more of this sort of information built into the right side of the page. Then for hobbyists, you want a system for learning and focusing on what to learn, a note-taking system that will allow you to resurface information, storing information to build a virtuous feedback cycle. You want to document your learning journeys, something that supports spaced repetition and progressive summarization, a personal journal, a living document that evolves with your learning, a logbook, a system for planning what to read, connecting new knowledge with existing knowledge, and then tracking progress over time. And here, a personal therapist helping me find patterns in my thoughts. So you can see what I just did is I just was brain dumping over a number of sessions and then trying to aggregate them into different places. Pretty messy, but yeah, let's work with it. Okay, creatives want to outline long form content, store disparate ideas, combine and reuse them, capture inspiration, maintain easily accessible archive of ideas and references, serendipitous resurfing, and then easily review your notes. Okay, now again, this could also apply to some of the other things, but yeah, you get the picture. And then as an academic, you want to manage your sources, organize and review vast amounts of information, investigate claims, document research questions and research framework, integrate with citation management software, or be able to do citations at least, and then connect ideas across various documents and sources, and see what evidence supports or contradicts claims, integrate new knowledge. Okay, so again, feedback would be great. Love to know how you're enjoying this format. What do we then require from our information systems? Now, I want to say the high-level requirements of any information management system are pretty standard. You need to capture information, or capture or input information, be able to retrieve or resurface it, and then organize and reuse that information. Again, that sounds very trite and trivial, but being able to do these things or knowing what workflows you want to use these different programs for is going to be very useful if you have a clear picture here. And then one thing yeah, and again, I'll just put some points over here. In the retrieval thing, I think we underestimate the ability to be able to search really quickly. Like most times, I don't use a navigation to find what I want. I'm just using search. Anyways, again. And then potential functional requirements of the software or the information management system, portability, multi-device use, privacy, security, is it cost effective? Very important in the team one here is sharing and multiplayer functionality. Okay, so these are just some high-level requirements that we might need from our software. We need to be able to input, organize, and resurface information. And then we might need some of these things, like depending on what application you're using it for. Okay. Now I want to look at jobs to be done. Now this is just the matrix of personal requirements and then team requirements. And when I say jobs to be done, it's a framework that was introduced by Professor Clayton Christensen or Christopher Claytonson or whatever his name was at Harvard. And the idea is that like we all need to do different jobs in our lives, and to be a company that's successful, we need to be able to help other people do the jobs that they want. And he gives some pretty interesting examples, which I'm not going to get into, but like, yeah, we all need to do different jobs. And the jobs that I'm speaking of in this thing here are knowledge management, project management, and notes the difference between those two, communication, relationship management, databases and record keeping, and whiteboarding. Okay. Now, immediately you'll see that there's a lot of things that could be potentially overlapped here. Like I could have, databases as a part of my knowledge management or project management, or, there's like lots of different overlaps, but I've split them out here just for the purposes of trying to delineate what you might want to do where. Now, when I say note-taking, broadly speaking, I think we think of it like this, like knowledge management and project management or action management. That's how I conceptualized note-taking when I was first starting to use Logseek. I was just like, all of the things that I need to manage in my head. And I'm actually going to go here. You can see I've mapped some potential applications which will be useful to you in a personal context and then in a team context. But I'm going to go to this knowledge management part over here, which is my own thinking and notes. And these are some of the problems that I identify with, or when I'm thinking about knowledge. Like there's so many things that I need to take notes on. My information is unstructured data, and I need to make some sense of the structure. There's a high burden of organization. I need to be able to share my notes. I want to build a habit of revisiting my notes. And then text is only one way of representing information. Diagrams are often necessary. And here are some of the use cases. So these are problems are like red, and then use cases are blue. So a personal writing repository, and I've got your outlines and drafts, content inbox, whatever. Commonplace book or digital scratchpad. These are places where I'm like just building up a reference bank of ideas or things that come to mind, concepts, snippets of information for attention, personal brain dumps, research notes, jotting down ideas and organizing information. This is like the sort of intangible stuff where people ask like, what's so special about note taking? It's like storing snippets of information that may be valuable to you, but you're not sure in what context they will be valuable. So for instance, websites, tools, applications, people, how are you storing that information? And an example that I could give, there's a petrol attendant at a gas station that I fill up at, and I wanted to remember his name. So I just used the gas station name or fuel station name, if you're South African. And then the next time I went there, I had forgotten his name, and I went and I quickly used Logseek to find the gas station, and boom, I'd structured it in such a way that I could easily find his name. Okay, that's a random little example. I'm trying to get back to the more like random, just free-flowing thoughts because it's more fun. Anyways, and then like a journal or personal logbook. So personal development, self-awareness. I'll probably speak more to this in a later video. Bullet journaling, gratitude journaling, personal observations and therapy notes. A personal wiki, so resurfacing personal documentation, things you need to do like repeatedly. So for instance, if I have to submit my taxes, what process do I go through? Or if there's something I need to do with specific software, if I document it once and then just like go back to it instead of trying to like figure it out, a year down the line, I'm like, oh, how did I do this? Or what did I click? Or if I just put that all in one place, that's a personal wiki for me. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be well thought through. It's just using tags to be able to go and find it. Zettelkasten or atomic notes. So this is organizing your notes in a rich, interconnected fashion. building stickiness in your thoughts. So linking your ideas and like being able to like fold them up from the bottom. And yeah, this is just another thing that I said on like bidirectional linking. Okay, so professional notes, meeting notes, having a repository of notes. So not just like your meeting notes, but like notes about a project or your working notes. Thinking out loud in writing. I often do this, like where I'm just like start typing up ideas and being like, okay, cool. This is how I want to think about this project. Draft emails. I do most of my drafts I do in Logseek. Okay, so taking a step back, this is what I am doing in Logseek here. This is Logseek for the oopsie. Don't need to see that. You could use a variety of different programs for this. There's Google Docs, there's OneNote, there's Apple Notes, there's Keep. So many different ways of doing this. And I default to Logseek. Well, I should actually put Obsidian here as well, because lots of people will watch this and will be using Obsidian. I just like the way that I can quickly return to information in Logseek. I like outliners. That's why I like Tana. So yeah, that's why I like Logseek. But in a team context, Logseek is still doesn't have real-time collaboration, and they've been working on it for a while. I think it's coming soon, but I don't know. So there's a bunch of different solutions that you might want to use. So for a team, you might want to use Notion or Confluence or Tana potentially, or Loop. So Loop is Microsoft's program. So this is like the documentation / wikis thing. Like, where do you store things? Where do you store meeting notes that everyone can see it? Like, do you want everyone to be able to see everyone's meeting notes? Maybe not. It's all about having like a central repository and a single source of truth. Okay, what are these green stickies and red stickies? This is just my random thinking. In the red stickies, I'm talking about problems. Like, each software has a learning curve, and teams usually outgrow certain solutions as requirements change. Also, something I haven't written yet is people have preferred ways of working. Like, if you have to force everyone to do a certain thing, they might not like that. Like, you have to cascade change effectively. Like, change management is very difficult. Integration of workflows, collective knowledge management, it's just tricky. Like, I know that if I was to have to take notes in Notion, I would feel the friction and it would grate me and I wouldn't do it. So if you can build the discipline in your team to do everything in one application, well done. I don't think that is very easy. Okay. What I've got down here is storage. And the reason I've got storage is because I want to go to this next part, which is object management. So object management is like another part of knowledge, or it's like asset management. And what am I talking about there? Like references and knowledge objects. So documents, reports, PDFs, spreadsheets, presentations, diagrams, flowcharts, knowledge databases, code and databases, multimedia, video, pictures, all of these things you need to store somewhere or manage somewhere. Now, the thing with cloud storage is that a lot of this is managed at source in the cloud, theoretically. So like, for instance, Mural, like these diagrams are managed in Mural, and I don't have to like manage the storage of that. But what I typically do is I like to link between things so that I can easily find that information later down the line. Again, I think the more difficult ones, like if you're working with spreadsheets and presentations and you're sharing it and there's iterations, these are some of the problems that you have: version control, retrieval of files, permission management, having a single source of truth. If you're managing projects in spreadsheets, you'll know that it's a nightmare, that things change, and yeah, you need to have a single source of truth. Anyways, that's what I speak about here in the storage component. Like, you can use Google Drive or OneDrive, or if you're using PDFs, Zotero, for instance. That's really good for those in academia. Okay, so that's all the stuff that I've classified in knowledge management. And I want to look at action management. Okay, so, and there's so many different tools that I haven't included here, but the ones that I think are really good, Tana, I love using Tana for this. And then a lot of people use Todoist. There's Things 3, there's Tick or whatever. There's like hundreds of these apps. So yeah, ClickUp. I mean, they're also here in the team space. And Trello, Jira, ClickUp, Asana, Monday.com, and they will be advertising to you on this video probably if you are not a premium subscriber. What I've got here again is just like some more of these problems. Systems need building and maintenance. You need someone to champion them. Again, user adoption speaks to the point that I had there. What I have in these green stickies over here is different frameworks to apply in these different contexts. So yeah, spoke about GCD, but in a group context, using OKRs, objectives and key results, or using like a methodology like Agile or Scrum, Kanban. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can approach these things. yeah, so much can be said about all of those. So diving into the part on action management, what are some of the difficulties or requirements? And I've got centralized hubs. I need to keep track of complex information and multiple project threads in a single organized interface, dashboards and landing pages, different views to configure my information. So filtering, sorting of tasks. Actually, this should be there. Different views, timeline view, Gantt view, Kanban. Methodology for sequencing and prioritization, keeping track of open loops, keeping tasks in an area that's top of mind, and then intuitive mapping and grouping of activities. So like building the relationships between these things. So I've got your project management, yeah, central hub, oversee project details, track the status, manage to-do lists and reminders. Could be a similar thing, but like everything is really a list that you're trying to manage. Then calendar management, so managing calendars, schedules, contacts, content sequencing, meeting booking, so being able to like have someone book a calendar, so using Calendly or something like that. Time blocking, managing different time intervals, so like a year, a week, a day, whatever. And yeah, that's the last point there. And then any form of issue tracking, so habit or pattern tracking. So maybe not necessarily in the group context or the team context, but personally, like that's something that you might want to do. And then decision tracking. I've seen a lot of people do this. Okay, so that's the deep dive into action management. What I'm going to look at now is just like communication, like, simple things. You can use Slack, you can use Basecamp, you can use G Suite. I would say just default to G Suite in a team context. Like it's really, yeah, I have jumped around between different things, Zoho, thought about using Microsoft, but just G Suite gives you so much ease of access to other different things. Okay, it's not too much to say there. Relationship management. So I've seen a lot of people do this in Logseek or Notion, and I've tried to do it myself in those programs, but really using something that's made for the purpose. It integrates your contact database and it is able to email from the same application. It really is a game changer. So on a personal level, you might want to look at something like Folk, and then on a team level, Pipedrive, Attio, Copper. Yeah, there's HubSpot, there's Salesforce, but those are like really complex and very expensive. This would be my go-to options. And you can build these things all yourself in a Notion, in a this, in a that. But as I say, the email component is not integrated and it just requires more maintenance. Like rather just pay a little bit and get it done for you. And then, databases or record keeping. If you're building some sort of application, you need to have a backend of data that you can access. And this is where Airtable, CTable, Baserow, all of these, I've used Airtable extensively. I'm not using CTable just because it's cheap/free, depending on what level you need. But you really want a tool that is able to function like a spreadsheet, sort of. And I say that with a caveat because it is robust in the sense of the database, but it gives you the spreadsheet-like interface, which is very familiar and easy to manipulate. But if you're looking to build like custom applications, sometimes you'll reach your limits here. Like if you use Airtable plus Softer, you might want to use Retool or Google's AppSheet or something like that. Okay, I'm going off on tangents. Okay, as I said, whiteboarding can cover the previous buckets, in the sense that you can do project management, knowledge management, all of those things in a whiteboard. I tend to manage projects with different people in Miro. But as you say, I have used a bunch of different applications. Lucidchart, Mural, Miro. I started with Lucidchart at the beginning of the year. Wasn't super happy with everything. I've now moved to Miro. And I use Mural for stuff like this, like brainstorming and But there's something about making the work and the blue parts here, like the requirements, like making work tangible and visible really is a game changer. The requirements of having voting buttons if you're working in a team, sketching something in pen very quickly. I think that's actually why I moved to Miro, so that I can build like little presentations using my tablet and its pen. And then, mapping out ideas. Like I think having this visual interface is really good. So you can do this in Logseek. Is it very robust? No, because you can't share it. You can't do all the things that you can do in these other programs. So, and also just, it just doesn't feel as quick, like when you're trying to use a program. Yes, it's integrated. Yes, I can integrate knowledge from my database into a whiteboard. If you want that, perfect. But these are my go-tos at the moment. Okay, speaking about that, like what are the tools that I'm using? So knowledge management, I'm using Logseek. For action management or project management, I'm using Tana. And then for brainstorming, I'm using Mural. But now, and this is, again, one of the things, like you can't just use one tool. Like if I want to share a draft with someone and have them edit it, I'm doing that in Google Docs for some of my writing. For processes, I'm doing that in Miro because I don't like doing it in Mural. I know the names can be confusing there, but like Miro is just a really nice interface. This is just random. I put my conversation partner, ChatGPT. I just love like, having it open there and being like, what about this? What about this? What about that? And then how many of these do you want to bundle really? And how do you get value for this? Like if it's making your life easier and it's costing you $20 a month, it really can be worth it. Like if it's saving you hours on a month, like don't think about it as like the cost, think about it as the benefits. I default to this thinking as well. I want to implement a new CRM and it's a little bit expensive. I'm not using it that much, but I think if I do use it, it will save me time and maybe help me make more sales, whatever. I haven't brought myself around to it because it's looking at like $70 a month. That's very expensive. It would be the most expensive thing in my software suite. So yeah, it's all a trade-off. And I think this is the most important thing, but don't feel like you have to stick with one tool. I think people will make you feel, or like there's a lot of like productivity YouTubers or gurus or whatever who make you feel guilty if you're switching tools and it's like the shiny new object. It's like, we obviously all want to be as smooth and frictionless as possible. So we're looking for this and none of these tools are going to do it. Maybe that's just like something to grok in reality, is that there will never be the one tool that can do it all unless you build it yourself, and that was going to take you way more time than paying for a multitude of different tools. So some general tips that I just wanted to end the video off with. Information note-taking is about externalizing things in a system outside of our head. Okay, so that's why it's building a second brain. It's just having something that I can trust and go to, that I'm not trying to like keep all the open tabs in my head. Make peace with the fact that there will always be some gap in the tooling or your understanding. Sooner or later, you are going to find it and you're going to be frustrated. And then at some point you have to make peace with that. There are also so many unknown unknowns, and there's always a better way of doing things. So, I'm sure if I watched lots of YouTube tutorials about how to use Logseek, even I would learn stuff about Logseek. But for me, there's like a point of diminishing returns. I think I've reached that point. When getting started, keep things as simple as possible. So later you can build all the pretty dashboards and all the complex things, but you're probably wasting your time. Now, I've put it's allowed to be fun. Remember, it's allowed to be fun. You're allowed to waste time. You can do whatever the heck you want. Like do whatever you want, have fun. But if you are in the mindset of thinking about the trade-offs, just start simple first. The next thing, not everything has to be integrated. So reading lists, you might want to use Goodread. Your workout log, you might want to use Strava. At one point, I was trying to build all my workouts in Tana, and it just became a chore. And yes, I can build the API from Strava if I was a developer, but I'm not. And I just go and look at that in Strava. I don't use Goodreads. I do use Tana for my reading lists, but lots of people use Goodreads, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know where to find it. You know where to put it. Great. The next thing here is draw your workflows out manually. So Mural, Miro, or a piece of paper. Just thinking about what the high levels of information are that you need to manage. How do you systematize outputs so that you can do things repeatedly? A friend of mine speaks often about these like if-then loops. Always think about the if-then loops. And then on the retrieval side, how do you want to access that information? How do you need to access that information? Okay, good design patterns will change your life. Learn how databases work. I mean, I am still very much early in my journey, I think. I don't know, depending. But learning how databases work really was a game changer for me. Like having, database normalization, only having one thing for, a record. Anyways, could get into the weeds there. So the next point here is there are loads of solutions out there, but they all take time to learn. This is just like the reality. Like it took me very long to learn Logseek, and that's why I put Logseek Mastery together. So it can help you condense all of that into a single course rather than like hundreds of YouTube tutorials. And then when software is too open-ended, there is a massive learning curve. So Logseek is one level, like Notion is next level. There's so much that you can do in Notion and so much time that you can waste. Do you really need it? I don't know. There also tends to be a lot of additional work done to make sense of the information. Okay. So that's like, if I'd have this data dump, I had to like aggregate it and move different things around. It's not just pie in the sky, I quickly ask ChatGPT to do it for me. It doesn't work like that. And then you'll figure it out as you go along. So just trust the process, dive in, have fun. There, remember, it's allowed to be fun. And I enjoy the comparison side of things. Well, to some level, I've enjoyed it. But like at some point, you also just need to stick with something. And then, if it's meeting your needs, great. If it's not meeting your needs, have a look around, find something else. So that's it for this video. Hopefully it's been helpful to you just to think about some of the different systems. Don't try and force everything into one, or if you're having fun, do try to force everything into one. As I said, I really just wanted to get back onto the screen and give my rambling, because that's really how I started this channel. And I think I've tried to do too much around like structuring it perfectly and making it, all pretty and YouTube ready. So yeah, I'm going to be back with a little bit more of this content, hopefully. As I said, I'm also thinking about offering more consulting services on the side. I've just been like rethinking a whole bunch of different things in the business. And I realized that I really do enjoy helping people think at a high level about the different systems that they require. So it might not be that I'm going to build the system for you, but if you want someone just to like sense check it with you, have a look at my website. I've got consulting slots available there, or you can just reach out via email. So as I said, what's been happening in my life, I feel like I'm just going to bring some books to the table. The Burnout Society, The Dark Night of the Soul, Letting Go, and then Radical Acceptance. So that's basically what I've been doing. I've been reading. No, it's been a very interesting and tumultuous year, but I finally feel like things are settling and in a good place to continue. I'm also fully aware that this channel is called Combining Minds, and it's just me producing the videos here. Well, it could be combining the first brain and then real digital second brain, but I think there's a lot more to collaborating with people. And in saying that, I have started working with a number of different people on different projects, and also working in a part-time role again in a previous company, just to get the stimulation of other minds, because it can be quite isolating working on your own. And also to just throw in something from Andy Matushak here, he says people who write extensively about note-taking really have a serious context of use. And I definitely don't want to become this sort of person. So you can go and read the article yourself. I'll link it below. But I'm aware that it's a very slippery slope and an easy trap to fall into. And this is why I am doing all these different projects on the side, because I think it's important to sharpen the sword, keep the mind engaged, and not just be writing about productivity for the sake of productivity. So thank you so much for the continued support. The courses are still available, Logseek Mastery and Unlock Tana, if you want to understand at least Logseek and Tana very quickly and very succinctly. Well, there's a lot of content in Logseek Mastery, but you'll definitely know the ins and outs at the end of that course. That's all available there for you. And as I said, if you're looking for further assistance, have a look at my website. Also, if you want this mural, there'll be a link below, I think, that you can drop your email address and you'll get the mural then. Thank you so much for support, and thank you so much for watching. Cheers.